So, interesting article here on the F1Chronicle.com. It's fair to say there's plenty of rumours going around about Liam Lawson being replaced by Yuki Tsunoda, with some outlets reporting that that could happen as early as the next round in Japan, which is, of course, Yuki Tsunoda's home race. But there's differing opinions on whether Yuki Tsunoda should accept this offer if it does come from Red Bull Racing. Now, Tsunoda was heavily pushing to get that seat ahead of 2025, as was his backers Honda as well. That didn't happen, of course. Red Bull chose Liam Lawson, but Lawson is struggling massively early on in this season, and I really do feel for the guy, to be honest. But there is a prevailing theory that has been reinforced that the problem is not the driver. The problem is the car, and some people think that if Tsunoda actually goes to Red Bull Racing, he will perform worse than what he did, or has done, I should say, at the Racing Bulls so far. And that car looks pretty tidy. It looks pretty handy in the hands of Tsunoda and his teammate Isaac so far this season. But that Red Bull in the hands of Liam Lawson looks like an absolute nightmare to try and control. So let's have a look at what's been said here, guys. Should Yuki Tsunoda accept that Red Bull Racing seat if it comes his way? Will he have a choice in the matter? I'll give my thoughts at the end on that, but let's have a look at what's going on here on the F1Chronicle.com, as always. Wild rumours are raging that Liam Lawson has now completed his second and final race weekend for Red Bull. Liam Lawson is already out for the next race, former F1 driver and now TV pundit Ralf Schumacher told Sky Deutschland. Yuki Tsunoda will replace him. It hasn't been fully confirmed yet, but that's probably how it is, and Lawson will then go back to Racing Bulls, where he's supposed to build himself up again. Tsunoda declared in China, where Lawson was basically the slowest driver of all throughout the Shanghai weekend, that he was 100% ready to replace the New Zealander. Indeed, Lawson finished last in both sprint and regular qualifying during the Shanghai weekend. The Japanese has also said that he is confident that he will be faster. He can say whatever he wants, a downcast Lawson said after the end of his dire Chinese Grand Prix weekend. I've been racing him for years. I've beaten him in junior categories and I've done it in F1. It's also rumoured that Tsunoda's replacement at Racing Bulls from Suzuka onwards would be Franco Colapinto, but veteran Swiss journalist Roger Benoit doubts that. He thinks that Alpine is clearly shaping up to put the highly rated young Argentine into Jack Doohan's seat. For Doohan, one flop and one mistake follows another, Benoit wrote in Blick newspaper. Yeah, Doohan hasn't done particularly well in China. He crashed out, obviously, in Australia the week before, and then he got 2 penalties in both the sprint and the regular race for pulling the same move at the hairpin. He's not acquitted himself really well. I don't think he's handling that pressure very well, but I don't blame him, to be honest. I'm not going to blame too much for that. As for Red Bull, team management will get together this week and reportedly on Thursday to discuss what to do about the problematic RB21 car and Lawson. There's a meeting in Milton Keynes this week where we'll discuss when and how we can close this gap, advisor Dr. Helmut Marko told Service TV. We're worried, but we're not giving up. Team boss Christian Horner acknowledges that the 2025 Red Bull is particularly hard to drive, raising the possibility that the replacement for Lawson will just as likely struggle. Schumacher is highly critical of the energy drink-owned team. It's pure chaos at Red Bull, said the former Grand Prix winner. Not only is the main team too slow, they're also swapping drivers around like a charade. I have to say, I find it unbelievable. I find it perfectly believable, to be honest. This is definitely on form for Red Bull Racing. Above all, just incredibly bad from a management perspective. They're destabilising the good Racing Bulls team, which is finally doing well with both drivers, and in my opinion, they're just going to burn out Tsunoda as well, who has also no chance of fighting Max Verstappen. Schumacher continued, no matter who you put in that second car, they'll be sent home within a few races, so I'd recommend keeping Lawson in the car and instead work on making the car more competitive. Certainly if it was Tsunoda's manager, if I was Tsunoda's manager, I wouldn't recommend him going there. I agree with Schumacher. If I was Tsunoda's manager, I wouldn't recommend him going there either, but I don't think he'll have a choice. Red Bull don't seem like the kind of team to take their drivers' opinions on board, shall we say. I mean, Perez was basically told, just get on with it pretty much, when it came to the trouble of the car, and I imagine Pierre Gasly and Alex were also told similar things at the end of the day. So I'm not too confident, really. I'm really not too confident that they're going to make the right decision here. But I think they should definitely try and work on that car. I mean, they say they've got a big upgrade package that's coming to, and that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be their final roll of the dice, but it's definitely going to be a big roll of the dice, a big gamble on that working. And if it doesn't work, if the car doesn't improve in terms of its performance, then overall they're going to have to probably switch to 2026 development relatively early, because the chances of them catching McLaren and competing with McLaren consistently, I mean, Mercedes are second in the Constructors' Championship as well. You know, Red Bull have got work to do, and Ferrari, they will probably get their act together at some point. So I can honestly see Red Bull finishing 4th in the Constructors. I can see Max Verstappen finishing 2nd or 3rd in the drivers, but, you know, one driver a team does not make, and Lawson hasn't scored a single point yet this season. And I think, honestly, if you put Yuki in that car as well, I think he'll struggle as well. You know, he's effectively down 2 races compared to the rest of the field in terms of their experience with the current cars they're driving in 2025. You know, adapting to a new car is very difficult. And yes, he has driven that car. Well, he has driven the previous year's car, I should say, at the Young Drivers Test in Abu Dhabi, but the car will have changed. And the thing as well is that one of the big aims of Red Bull is that they said they were going to, you know, they were going to make the window, the operating window, the ease of driving that car a lot better for 2025. But I think they've made it worse. I think the pace of the car is good when you can control it, and Max Verstappen clearly can. He can get the best out of that car. It's not bad. It's not a race winner. It's not on that level yet, really. But in the hands of Max Verstappen, it is a competitive podium challenger. I think that's undoubtable. But in the hands of Liam Lawson and probably the lion's share of the remaining 18 drivers in Formula One, you're talking about a car that is really difficult to control. I've said before in a previous video I did yesterday that, you know, it's a bucking Bronco. It's not a Red Bull. It's a very, very difficult thing to try and control, clearly. And Lawson is having to drive well within himself to avoid spinning out, a bit like what Sergio Perez had to do last year. You know, the problem is not the driver. They have some seriously talented drivers, but the problem clearly is the car. But those are my thoughts, guys. I've talked about this stuff before. I really, and it just seems to be getting worse with Red Bull. They are, like Schumacher says, they are chaotic behind the scenes. Everything is on. It's like that meme from, is it Adventure Time, with the dog when he's in the, you know, when he's sat at the table with a cup of tea and the whole room's on fire. Oh, everything is fine. That's Max Verstappen right now. He's just getting on with it. You know, he's that good of a driver that, or the car is built around him, or both. To be honest, he's a great driver and the car is built around him. You know, he can just sort of get on with it. He can get results. Nobody else can in that thing. But hey, those are my thoughts, guys. Yours in the comments below. I want to hear you have to say. I think you guys agree with me for the most part. I've seen some pretty supportive comments about my views recently about the Red Bull meat grinder, you know, of these young drivers that are chewed up and spit out and booed off stage. You know, that's just, to quote Eminem, or B Rabbit, I think it was, because it was 8 Mile he said that, wasn't it? So yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always. I really appreciate your support as always. I hope you have a fantastic day, have a great week, and hope you have a fantastic race in Japan in a few weeks time as well. And I hope for better fortune for Liam Lawson in the land of the rising sun. But I'll be shocked, in all honesty. I really will be.